Okay, so chemical reactions. So here's a summary of what we've learned so far. So chemical reactions can be simple, like powering a space shuttle, or complex, like taking an antacid. Chemical changes can be obvious, like burning a candle, or less noticeable, like the reaction that makes a cake rise. They can occur immediately, like explosives, or more slowly, like the ripening of a banana. So to describe the different chemical reactions, chemists often use word equations. A word equation uses words to indicate that change is during the chemical reaction and what is produced. So writing word equations. Word equations are always written in the same format. The left side of the equation lists all the reactants, and the right side of the reaction lists all the products. An arrow then points from the reactants to the products. So all reactants and all products in the word equation are separated by a plus sign. So we have reactant 1 added to reactant 2 will produce product 1 and product 2. So types of reactions. So chemists know that there are different patterns in the way certain elements and compounds go together. They use these patterns to group different types of chemical reactions. Grouping chemical reactions is useful for many purposes. First of all, it allows chemists to predict the product of an unknown reaction. Second, it allows them to understand the behavior of the substances in a chemical reaction. We will deal with 4 of the most common types of reactions. So simple composition reaction. In a simple composition reaction, 2 or more simple elements combine to form a compound. Whenever you see 2 elements as reactants and only one product, you know that the reaction is a simple composition reaction. In a simple composition reaction, the product is always a compound. So if we were to use letters A and B to represent 2 different elements, a simple composition reaction will be written in this way. So element 1 plus element 2 gives me our compound, or A plus B gives me AB. The most simple composition reactions are exothermic, meaning that some form of energy is released, and in these reactions, elements are just put together. Simple decomposition reactions. So a reaction that breaks a compound into its component elements is known as a simple decomposition reaction. So whenever you see a compound as the only reactant, you know the reaction is a simple decomposition reaction. In a simple decomposition reaction, the products are always elements. So if we were to use the letters C and D to represent 2 different elements, a simple decomposition reaction would be written in this way. So compound breaks into element 1 and element 2, or CD is broken into C and D. So most decomposition reactions are endothermic, meaning that energy is absorbed. So in these reactions, compounds are broken apart. Combustion reactions. In a combustion reaction, a hydrocarbon, or a molecule containing carbon and hydrogen, is burned in the presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water. So whenever you see a reaction where the products are carbon dioxide and water, and one of the reactants is oxygen, and the other molecule is with carbon and hydrogen, then you know you have a combustion reaction. There should be no other elements in these reactions. So I have a hydrocarbon plus oxygen, gives me carbon dioxide and water, or some form of carbon and hydrogen atoms together, plus O2 will give me CO2 and H2O. And all combustion reactions are exothermic. Finally, neutralization reactions. So in a neutralization reaction, an acid and a base react to form a salt or an ionic compound and water. Because we will only be looking at these 4 types of reactions, you can then infer that if the products of your reactions are water and a compound that is not carbon dioxide, but actually an ionic compound made of a metal and a nonmetal, then you have a neutralization reaction. In addition, one of your reactants must be an acid, so it must have an H and is aqueous, and while the other reactant must be a base, so it must have an OH. So here I have my acid plus my base gives me a salt and water. So hydrogen plus the rest of my acid will give me some base and OH, and that will give me a salt form of A and B and water or H2O. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in class tomorrow.